This is a disclaimer. This is just a morning vlog of me rambling and talking about where I'm gonna do what in what part of the garden, looking for expensive real estate, which means sun, and what I could grow in the winter. So if you want to hear me just talk about that, follow me around the yard. If not, well, maybe I'll do something on solar fountains soon. No leaf blowers. No nothing. I only hear a car in the distance. Well, hello, it is Robbie from Southern California, and I'm out here having my first cup of coffee. Sun's already up, looking at the garden and deciding what I'm going to do next. I'm watching hummingbirds come in as well, or maybe they're watching me. I am so excited with the rainbow garden. It is perfect. I can't ask for anything more. Let's go over what's here. The two light green totes are for starting seeds. So I start them in the house in a new method. It's not really the plastic bag, just another method I came up with. And then they get transplanted in there, unless they go into a paper cup and go straight out. And then these are all done. Everything is done. I've got the strawberries in the tower that are now doing runners more than anything else. And then the green one, I've got squash growing in there, just a squash that came up in the yard. It's kind of a hybrid, but still good. And the tomato plant that's been eaten by the deer. Next one, more squash. And then I've got kale in that one. And I have purple curly kale. And then I've got peppers, black cobra. I've got my pepinos that you can see there. Let me show you my pepinos. Been bringing those in when they're yellow, so they're sweeter. I can slice them up and put them with some strawberries and eat them like that. And then of course my watermelon. I am not even making slings for them. The stalk, the stem on the watermelon is so strong, I'm gonna leave them just the way they are. They're growing in two totes, the red one and the light green one. I'm really lazy here. I'm just sitting here having coffee. And I've got 5 watermelon, and though 1 watermelon per plant may not be the greatest, I'm happy. It's better than nothing. I'm gonna get 5 watermelon out of 2 totes, and the moment they're done, I'm gonna get something else planted in there. Not sure what. And then the next 2 here are tomatoes. One of which I believe I put this one in here, and that one I believe came up from last year, which is kind of a dark black tomato that turns red. This one's just a little bit bigger than a cherry tomato. It's all doing really good, but what I'm actually doing here, sitting here with my camera, looking for birds and stuff, and looking over the rest of the garden, because, well, we're still in summer. I don't want to rush it, but we've got 4 weeks left of summer here. You can see all my stuff on the table here. I've been working. Been looking at the wall. Now the wall, I can't get anything to grow really good right now there, and I'm realizing, see the shade? This is what I'm analyzing. This particular area, those stacked there, this could be multiple issues in there. I've got zucchini that has been growing in there. I'm having issues with other things growing, so maybe I'll put something else in there. Maybe I'll put tree colored in there. That would be fun. I'm thinking it may not be getting enough light. Number 1. Number 2, I think the soil that went in there, I used some cheap soil I got. I think that may have caused an issue, because some of the soil I have been hearing is not that good this year. If it's a chemical for weeds to keep certain grasses from growing. It's kind of a weed chemical, but the problem is they're using it on farmland, and then I don't want to get into such a long story, but it's getting into the hay, and then let's say the cattle's eating it, it's still passing through them. So anyways, something happened with some of the soil that was potting soil that I think there was an issue with that. Anyways, going back to there, my corn seems to be doing okay. It's a little late for corn. Not really though, because I used to live years ago in the valley of Los Angeles, and they would grow corn. Oh my goodness, until they were harvesting the last of the corn in December. I used to go to the farm. Can you imagine a farm in the valley, in the middle of the valley? So I think, I'm hoping I didn't put the soil in there. Next to it is the tomatoes, and the tomato plant, I can walk over there. Well, that's being eaten by deer, so there's not much I can do on that. See this, I've got to get some more stuff in here, but that's for the seeds. So this is being eaten by deer, and I'm letting them do that because I don't want them to touch the watermelon, and this watermelon plant's not doing as good. We've got one that died off, see what happens, and that needs to be taken off. I think I've got to do it with the cutters because I don't think I can do it by hand. Let me see. I can snap it off. You really don't want to leave anything. No, I'm going to have to come back. Oh, see, this is why they don't come off. This is put on like with a rope. So I'm going to come through and cut that off. That one's doing okay, but too small. It really is. And this plant is from way back yonders. It's too old. Fresher, younger plants are better. Okay, so the corn and this is covered. Even that has stopped the rabbits. And this has stopped the deer. So the deer no longer chew on my corn. And that was an issue too. They were chewing on the corn. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I was experimenting with some stuff and I'm quite happy with it. Tomatoes are being nibbled on by the deer. Let me step back. Nothing was done in here yet. See what they're doing? They chew the stalks. Oh, there goes our friendly little rabbit. All right, now here, same issue. First of all, the watermelon is too old and the things have been chewed. The watermelon was chewed by the deer. They grabbed the bottom and now it's trying to make a comeback. So I am going to cut this off. Ta-da! And I'm going to see what happens because look how nice that is. That one may come back because the stalk is nice. It's got a root system and we'll leave that alone. The one in here, see how thin it is? This is no good. Again, too old. The walking onions are doing fabulous here. So I may put more walking onions. The cucumber got nibbled on by the deer. And then these are just tomatillos that are coming up on their own, which is a good thing. Let things come up on their own. No work for me. The cardboard box is struggling. I need to trim, number one, the tomatoes all the way down and do some cuttings on them. I'm not going to do anything else with them right now. I'm going to leave this. Now, these cardboard boxes are going to go. Probably as soon as I find the time. I would do it this second if I had the time to do this all. So we've got 4 big boxes and 1 small. Now you know that the top will never break down my microbes or anything because it's got to be underground, okay? But the cardboard draws like a sponge. We're in a drought and it sucks the life out of the plant, the water. And with it trying to break down underneath, it's creating, you know, there's not enough nitrogen in it. It's creating a problem. Yes, I can play around with it and get it to grow. I did already. But here's the thing, I don't know why I would. I can spend $20, $30 and get totes in here. And then not only do I have the totes established, those are what, 2 years old. I don't have to bother with them for years and I can continue to grow in them. This in the winter probably will get 6 to 8 hours of sun, which is perfect to grow vegetables in, which is probably the reason why I get a lot of squash in the winter here. So why not grab this real estate? I can put tomatoes, don't need a lot of sun, believe it or not. I've had tomatoes grow on the side of the house in complete shade. But your squash, your pumpkins, your watermelon, certain plants like that, cucumbers, they need a lot of sun. So I'm going to take that part of the garden right there, the boxes, and start deciding on what I want to put in there. I don't want to make a rainbow garden out of it because I like the subtle look of the grays and browns here. But I might do it in green, just something different. I might use 2 different colored totes. This is just me thinking out loud. Because this way I'd be able to see it on my camera, because my camera watches this, and I'd be able to spot if somebody or something was getting into the pink tote. I'm not going to use pink, but just using that as an example. The pink one or the green one. So I might put 2 different colored totes there, but nothing like this. Not all different colors. Now this is the first garden that I did as far as a full chair garden. I was using chairs for a long time when everybody thought I was crazy. This chair garden is doing fantastic. I've got this last one to set up and then everything is done. The totes were all the gray ones because I was getting those for $5, less than $5. And then the chairs I painted, you know all about it. If you want to know how to paint them for next to nothing, go check the video out. But you can paint these chairs for like $2 a piece. And these are chairs that people threw out. I can sit here for a minute too. I am very happy with this. Now see how it's in the sun? It will lose a little bit of the sun during the day because it's going to go and hide behind the pepper tree, which is perfect during the hot part of the day. And then towards the evening, before the sun drops down and goes across, it gets more sun again. So this is their perfect spot. It's probably, like I said, that's probably why that spot is so good. So why should I leave the cardboard boxes when I'm not getting any production out of it? And the only work that's going to be put into setting that up over there will be the work of getting it out. Oh, but I have a new way. Getting my, oh, I see the dragonflies are all out. Getting my soldering iron out there, deciding how I want to set up the toast and pull everything already that's broke down there, including the few last plants there, and throwing them all into totes. I can probably get a good 6 totes in there. I got 4 boxes, but I bet you I could do 6 totes. That is so much more production if I want to push 6 than there were 4 boxes, and I have full control. And I don't have to water every day. Those cardboard boxes, like grow bags, have to be watered here in Southern California every single day. I'm not putting in a drip system. The only drip system I'm getting, which is not, is my irrigation tubing that I absolutely crazy about and have more ideas flowing through my head than I can keep up with. So I'm going to grab that real estate back. I'm taking it back. Cardboard boxes were a fun experiment. Might do it again in the spring underneath the moringa tree, but that whole section there belongs to me. So I'm going to get that back. This is going to stay. The only tote I have to change out of there is the end tote, because long story short, I'm not going to get into it. We were broken into. Somebody actually scaled this 12-foot wall. He hurt himself, but not here. He jumped on another tote further down the driveway, and though he busted a tomato stake in half, I don't know how he did that without really hurting himself bad. The tote just fell over, and the tote is fine. But that tote, he climbed on it. I don't know what he was doing. I can't answer that. And he did bust the side. I was going to leave it kind of for a memory, and I thought, I don't need that memory. I'm just glad it's over with. Everybody was okay, and that's all that counts. So that will be the only tote. And in my junk pile over here, I just so happen to have a gray tote tucked back there. I thought I had here. And so I'm going to put another gray tote there because I like the gray color. I think it looks, the color scheme is nice. It looks real natural. And then I can just sit back and enjoy the subdued coloring. How about that? And then Gary's got his trees he's planted up there, which are really beautiful. And then here, I'm not changing anything. All these totes are fine. A couple of them are cracking on the edges. They've been here, they're going into their 3rd year now. And the only reason this one is cracking is because I had it somewhat empty too long. Keep them with, you know, soil in there, and keep them watered. Now, if you're in the winter, someplace with snow, just leave it alone. But here we're dry all the time, so as long as there's soil in there and you keep it watered, it keeps the plastic kind of soft and keeps it from cracking. And I've got some in my bird garden that I think they're 6. I don't think they're 7 years old, but I think next year they'll be 7 years old and they're still going. So I'm going to work on that. And then what am I going to do today? There is so much squash in there, and I don't want to climb in there to get it, number 1. Number 2, I've got squash that I don't know what to do with. I still have that fig leaf gourd one. It's kind of an odd squash because you eat it, to me, and it kind of tastes like a melon, but it's not. So I've left them, and I know they're curing on the plant. What are you going to do? If I was in an emergency hungry, I would use them. But they're still back there, and they're still growing. They're growing more and more. I do have a zucchini that's turned yellow, which means it's going to be really hard to eat. But I'm going to get that off. And then I've got all my tomatillos now starting. Now this grew because they grew in there last year, so they reset their seeds at the right time, and I don't have to plant tomatillos. So that's basically it. And I'm still working on this. Got the dragonflies out this morning, and I'm going to make something here. I've got a pump down there. I did a whole thing on solar pumps, and that one's just sitting on an ice cream container with some rocks. Just kind of give a little ripple, but I am going to put something in there. And then I've got a tomatillo plant that's growing across there. My meadow was supposed to be more wild, and it's turned into a vegetable garden with tomatillos growing. Now this came up. There's the flower, the Chinese forget-me-not. The deer have been eating the top. See how you can tell where they chop it? They've been eating the tops of that. And then I've got some milkweed. and that is the native version milkweed. We had the tropical, we got rid of it. We actually returned it back to the store. Now here is something interesting on the milkweed, and I have spoken to other people in the area. When they put the native out like I did, you get no butterflies. I have not seen any more monarchs. This is very interesting. But when I had the tropical, I was loaded with monarchs. They were here all the time flying around. And that's what somebody told me, that they grow a whole field, and this is out here, of native milkweed, and they get no monarchs. It's not one. I talked to like 3 different people. No monarchs. I don't understand. I can't explain that. I asked them, do they flower? They said yes, and the monarchs don't come. But for the tropical ones, unless the local ones that live here were used to that, they can sense it, because I see them come through the trees and hunt. Some of them I sat there once and watched, took an hour to find the tropical plant, and once it did, it laid its eggs as well as used the flowers, but I have not had them come to the native. So we'll see. Got a couple different native ones. That's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. I just can't figure that out. Other butterflies come here, but no more monarchs. We've all the monarchs left because I got rid of the native plants. Oh, I've got a lettuce back here. Nobody has eaten the lettuce. Look at that. I didn't even know. You see that? This is a lettuce. Is that cute? So we've got the squash, which is dying back. We've got the black sugar cane, which is doing really good. Walking onions in a bucket. I'll change this up as winter comes and it dies back. I've got broccoli back there that went to flower. And there is celery somewhere back there. This is my meadow. But let me tell you something. It is full of life. The rabbits hide in here. There's lizards in here. I see a skunk at night come through here. What else? There's a squash. There's a little hybrid squash of some sort. Back there is a pomegranate. Now that will take over. If all goes well, maybe it will grow okay. That one's doing okay back there, but there's one on the other side that is not. Now the reason, see a dragonfly? The reason it is not doing okay is there's a footing up against this wall, and it comes all the way out about 6 feet. So there's really no soil back there. There's maybe 6 to 10 inches of soil, and then it's cement. It's just the way they did the footing. It's got to be almost as big as a wall, or half the size of the wall. So that's what's going on there. And that's it. So I think I'm going to get to work. Here I don't have to do anything. I'm letting the tomatoes do their thing. They're growing beautifully. Deer haven't really nibbled too much on this. That squash is gone. Oh, that's why it's gone. You know what I have to do? I've got to do a harvest. This is why it's gone. The plant is done. I've got that squash, and all these have squash down here, or a bunch of them. I've got to get the squash off. I think I'll do that as soon as I finish this. And then I'll decide what else I want to put in here. If I want something to grow all winter, what grows here in Southern California really good are tomatoes. I can get the tomatoes growing. And if I want any of the squash to continue to live, I've got to make sure that they don't produce any seed. Trim them back. Like I've got to get this monster off. It's like I know when I get it off, I need to cut it up and freeze it before the skin gets hard. Because if I wait too long, it's going to be a nightmare to cut, and then I just have to bake it in the oven. It becomes really hard, the outside. So if I can find the time today, I can take that off, take that one, and there's a couple more through here, and then trim the plants back. Maybe give them a good feed with some compost tea, put in some more leaves on the top, because anything underneath the leaves will break down, and then I should get squashed. Okay, so you saw me walk through here and think about what I'm going to do. I'm leaving this. This is perfect. I'll have watermelon soon. You did see my watermelon, I think. So everything is going perfect. The tomatoes are coming back, my San Marzanos. Got to get this staked up. I should tie this up today. And I've got walking onions, garlic chives. Like I said, I haven't put anything out here. I just started some more watermelon. And then I've got I should have a good sized watermelon in here. I haven't looked for a couple days. Let's make sure nothing got it. Oh no, it's there. Let's see. I think there's only one big one. But see the size of it? Oh, wow. Oh, I can't even lift it. They're all sugar babies, but look at that. So I'm really, really happy. A couple years ago, or was it last year? One there and one there. So can I push more than one watermelon on a sugar baby plant in a tote? I don't know. The problem is when they're on the ground and the stems are laying on the ground, they don't root. There's a couple people that have said they do, and I've tried it. I have not got them the root, but I have got them to get this knob on it that may have the ability, and I'm not going to call it a root, but they may have the ability to suck up some water at the time of watering. So that is a possibility, and I have no idea what you call it because it is not a root. It does not go deep into the ground. Now, maybe if you keep your soil real wet, you're in an area where you have a drip system running constant water, maybe it would root a little bit. But let me tell you something. Knowing I can grow 3 watermelon plants, that's just 3 seeds, in 1 tote and produce 3, I think that's fantastic. So I'm going to continue to do that. Next time I'll make sure there's 2 to 3 plants per tote, 18 gallons, such a small little real estate. And I'd be able to put in my pitcher. You know what my pitcher does? You put that in there. It's my new system. It's a 2 system, but you don't have to bother watering a plant or anything on top. You water the pitcher. Always keep that pitcher wet, not full of water, but water it. I mean, you can fill it up because it's full of holes. Go watch the video. The microbes and the earthworms, if there's earthworms, they'll find their way in there on their own, but it doesn't matter. The microbes will do the job as feeding your plants. And then you can still continue to produce those watermelon to the right size until they're ready to eat. So I am so excited with the new things I've come up with this year. And I'm telling you, I think the biggest one for me is the tubing. Some people think it's the pitcher. That's kind of a toss-up because I don't know what I like better, but I think the tubing, because you can do so much trellising for next to nothing. You can spend $10 on tubing and do an entire small yard, or you could go buy 500 feet for like $35 and do your neighbors. Let me tell you something, it's really worth it to get 500 feet of that black irrigation 1/2-inch tubing. The only problem is it's so heavy, but after lugging it around in my wheelbarrow all over the yard, I decided I'm just going to take off about 30 feet or 20 feet and work with it. Because even if I'm left with a short piece, that becomes a little end where you see on the posts where they're bent. So I've talked my head off to you. I'm going to go find my coffee I left on the table and just enjoy sitting in the shade. That's why I love the trees. I could level everything and have so much more place to garden, but how can you do that? I want nature. I want shade, and I don't need any more. With that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Oh, I talked too much, didn't I? Sorry about that. I just came out here to have a cup of coffee, and I chit-chatted my head off.